Well, hello everybody. With the introduction of the Atari 2600 Plus, it's been really nice to see Atari get some love. As you may be aware, if you've watched my videos for some time, I am a huge fan of all things related to Atari. Not just the 2600, but all the follow-on consoles and the computers as well. So in my last video, I did feature this particular old Atari 2600, and it was in a real state of disrepair, very filthy and untested. So in this video, I'm going to go ahead and clean it up, put it all back together, and test it and see if it's working out. I'm Sean, and you're watching 300 Baud. Let's get started. So this is one of my 2600s. This is a 4-switch model. I've got, I think, 4 of these things. As a matter of fact, in my last video, my friend watched it, and he said that I had a problem because of the amount of Atari stuff that I've got. Now, this is a pretty nice system. This one's not boxed. It's one that I picked up from someplace, I don't know where. But it is pretty dirty. One of the last viewers had mentioned about having this cord wrapped around the system. They thought it was disgusting because I was going to damage the system. But the nice thing about these 2600s is they're actually pretty durable. Now, before I feature this in any further videos, I really want to do something about this filth, this dirt that's built up, 40 plus years of grime. But I don't want to tackle this with just any old, just a rag and trying to rub it off. I don't want to get anything into the electronics. And the other thing is you're just not going to get into these cracks. So I'm going to tear this system down and give it a good cleaning and put it back together and test it. I haven't actually turned this one on recently, so I don't even know if it still works. But with that, why don't we go ahead and get started. So first things first, I want to protect the surface of my desk and also the Atari itself. So I'm going to lay down this towel. Disassembling the Atari is pretty simple. There's only 4 screws at the bottom. Once you get those off, you just lift off the bottom and put it off to the side. And then just pop the RF cable out of its holder. So you can see the top of the Atari is really dirty. There's a lot of grime just worked in all the cracks and crevices. The inside of the case isn't too bad, but it's still going to get a little bit of cleaning too. So I got a bucket of warm water. I'm just going to submerge the Atari into that. And then I'm going to use a toothbrush with a little bit of dish soap to work out all the years and years of crud and grime. So all it takes is a little bit of elbow grease. I'm using just plain old dish soap with a toothbrush. And this is going to work pretty well for me. I did try taking off the front plate, but the clips were really on there. They were on there hard, and I didn't want to risk breaking anything, so I just left it in place. So I'm just rinsing it off with some fairly clean water, but I'll take it to the deep sink and give it a good spray with fresh water. That's looking a lot better now. Look at that beautiful wood grain. So the bottom of the case will get the same treatment. I'm kind of glad I did this too, because it's a little bit sticky. Now I'm just going to towel it dry. Get as much of that water off as I can. It's looking a lot better now. So the motherboard's a bit dusty. It's not terrible, just dusty. So I'm going to use a toothbrush that's just slightly damp to get into the cracks and crevices and get some of the dust off. And believe it or not, this actually works pretty well. Next thing is these little rubber washers. I think they're just there to kind of prevent you from seeing down inside the motherboard. They're really grimy. I almost forgot to do this, but I'm glad I got in there because it's really gross. Also just going to wipe the posts off. This would have worked a lot better with metal polish, but I didn't have any. And reinstalling the washers, it looks a lot better now. Again, I just use soap and water. Installing the motherboard is pretty easy, but you do have to put the switches in first and then align it with the back and push it in place. Of course, we got to put our RF back in its place so it doesn't get ripped off the motherboard. And we've got about 9 miles of RF cable to push through the bottom of the case. We just carefully flip the top cover back onto the bottom and get it aligned. And boy, this Atari is looking so much better now. I'm going to just tighten up the 4 screws that hold the whole thing together. Let's clean off the cartridge too. Why not? I almost forgot about the joystick. I'm just going to take my damp cloth, work it inside of all the grooves, and clean that out as well. I've got this bag of adapters for AV. I tend to keep these things because you never know what you might need in the future. And here's the adapter I was looking for. This allows me to plug the RF cable straight into the back of the television and tune to channel 3. It works great. So let's go ahead and get this Atari plugged in and tested. So there you have it, a good working Atari 2600. The Game Select switch seems a little sticky. I think a little contact cleaner would fix that problem. I just don't happen to have any right now. Now Frogger is a great game for the VCS. I remember playing this for hours and hours at my friend's house. So here I'm holding my iPhone up with one hand and playing with the other, which is a little tricky to do. So that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next video. Take care for now. Goodbye.